In the 80s, R&B found a new way to speak. It wasn't just about the human voice anymore. It was about the machine. While the Talk Box used a tube to shape the grid of the funk, the vocoder used synthesizers to create a haunting melodic future. Together, they birthed a robot soul that changed the dance floor forever. From the Ohio funk of Roger Troutman to the electro soul of Midnight Star, we're counting down the 10 tracks that made the machine sing. At number 10, we are starting our list with a track that didn't just top the dance charts. It introduced the world to the sound of the future. In 1983, Herbie Hancock stepped away from the acoustic piano to command a fleet of synthesizers and a revolutionary vocoder pulse. Rocket was the first mainstream hit to feature scratching as a primary musical instrument. Produced alongside Bill Laswell, the track utilized the vocoder to provide a cold, rhythmic texture that perfectly complemented its robotic theme. While it garnered a Grammy win for Best R&B Instrumental Performance, its true impact was cultural. It showcased how a jazz legend could embrace technology to create a sophisticated, Grammy-nominated groove that felt completely alien, yet undeniably funky. The vocoded elements throughout the track served as the mechanical heartbeat for an entire generation of breakdancers and electronic producers, proving that the voice of the machine could be just as soulful as the human spirit. Herbie Hancock didn't just record a hit, he built a portal into the digital age. Rocket remains the definitive proof that technology and soul are not mutually exclusive. Did Rocket change how you viewed R&B? Let us know in the comments. At number 9, we are traveling to the year 1983, where Midnight Star utilized the vocoder to create one of the most iconic characters in music history. This track didn't just command the floor, it used the machine to define a whole new subgenre of electro soul. Freakazoid stands as a masterclass in how to use the vocoder as a storytelling device. While the track was a massive number 2 hit on the R&B charts, its true power lay in its technical execution. Produced by Reggie Calloway, the song replaced traditional background harmonies with a cold, synthesized vocal texture that felt both eerie and addictive. The vocoder allowed the band to lean into a sci-fi aesthetic that resonated with the emerging arcade and computer culture of the time. It wasn't just a gimmick, it was a rhythmic anchor that bridged the gap between the funk of the 70s and the high-tech dance music of the 80s. This record proved that the machine could have a personality of its own, turning a studio effect into a global phenomenon that still pulses through the speakers of every retro-funk night today. Midnight Star didn't just make a dance song, they built a mechanical icon. Freakazoid remains the blueprint for how to give a robot a soul. At number 8, we are witnessing the moment the vocoder moved from the dance floor to the front lines of social commentary.
Everywhere, people pissing on the stage, you know they just don't care. I can't take the smell.
In 1982, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five released a track that used electronic textures to paint a stark, unforgettable picture of urban life.
It makes me wonder how I keep from going under. My brother's doing bad.
The message serves as a pivotal example of the vocoder's versatility.
Must think I'm a fool, and all the kids smoke reefer. I think it'd be cheaper if I just...
While the song is celebrated for its lyrical depth, the vocoded "It's Like a Jungle Sometimes"
A child is born with no state of mind, blind to the ways of...
refrain provided a cold, detached contrast to Mel Mel's urgent delivery.
Like hell to one day you was found hung dead in a cell. It was plain to see that...
This contrast effectively heightened the feeling of an environment that had become mechanical and indifferent. Produced by Sylvia Robinson and Duke Booty, the track's electronic arrangement helped it cross over into the R&B charts, proving that hip-hop could utilize technology to convey complex emotions.
Not to lose my head. It's like
It wasn't just a rhythmic tool. The vocoder became the voice of the city itself, repetitive, unrelenting, and haunting.
It's too much. It's just not healthy. All my children in the daytime, Dallas at night.
This recording showcased how the machine could be used to amplify a message, ensuring that the voice of the machine was heard far beyond the club walls.
To lose my head. Say what? It's like a jungle.
Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five didn't just record a hit, they held up a mirror to society.
Driving big cars, spending 20s and 10s, and you want to grow up to be just like...
The message remains the blueprint for how to use technology to tell a human story.
How about keep from going under? It's like a jungle sometimes.
At number 7, we are exploring the 1984 crossover smash that redefined Cameo's sound. By stripping away the heavy horns of their past, the group utilized the vocoder to add a layer of surreal electronic mystery to their street-level funk.
She's strange, and I like it.
She's Strange stands as a testament to the power of subtlety.
And I like it. Yes, I like it.
While the song reached number 1 on the R&B charts and became a top 5 dance hit, its true brilliance lay in its atmospheric production.
I like the way she does everything. Always doing something.
Larry Blackmon used the vocoder not for high-energy hooks, but as a textured rhythmic whisper that mirrored the song's theme of a mysterious and captivating woman. This record showcased how the machine could be used to create a mood, shifting the vocoder from a sci-fi gimmick into a sophisticated tool for R&B storytelling. The track's fusion of a sparse drum machine beat, rock-inspired guitar, and haunting electronic vocals helped it bridge the gap between funk, pop, and the emerging rap scene.
Always doing something new. She's the kind of person
Cameo didn't just record a hit, they built a new sonic identity.
I like it. The way she wears her hair.
She's Strange remains the blueprint for how to make the machine feel deeply seductive.
Just the way she is.
At number 6, we are diving into the 1984 smash that transformed the Pointer Sisters into electronic icons. By embracing a low-slung mechanical groove, the group utilized the vocoder to create one of the most distinctive hooks of the decade. Automatic stands as a masterclass in vocal texture. While the song reached number 2 on the R&B charts and became a global top 10 hit, its defining feature was the ultra-low vocoded voice on the chorus. Produced by Richard Perry, the track used the machine to ground Ruth Pointer's deep lead vocals in a futuristic robotic landscape. This wasn't just an effect. The vocoder served as a rhythmic anchor that matched the song's lyrical theme of losing control to a mechanical force. It showcased how a traditional R&B group could adapt to the synth-pop era without losing their soul. The recording's blend of sharp drum programming and haunting electronic harmonies proved that the voice of the machine could be just as catchy and chart-dominant as any human performance, influencing the sound of dance pop for years to come. The Pointer Sisters didn't just record a hit, they successfully updated the blueprint for the modern vocal group. Automatic remains the definitive example of how to make the machine feel effortless. At number 5, we are revisiting a 1980 masterpiece that signaled a major shift for the Miami sound. Jimmy Bo Horn, a veteran of the TK Records empire, utilized the vocoder to turn a midnight cruise into a rhythmic mechanical journey. Is It In stands as a pivotal bridge between the 70s disco explosion and the 80s electro-funk era. Produced by Casey and Finch, the track replaced lush orchestrations with a cold, repetitive vocoder pulse that mirrored the steady rhythm of a long drive. While Horn was known for high-energy dance hits, this recording showcased a more atmospheric, futuristic side of his artistry. The use of the vocoder provided a haunting, robotic texture that resonated with the emerging electronic music scene in Europe and the US. It proved that the Miami sound wasn't just about sunshine. It could be dark, sleek, and perfectly synchronized with the machine. This record's influence lived on through decades of sampling, as producers looked back to this specific moment for that raw, early 80s electronic soul. Jimmy Bo Horn didn't just record a hit, he helped define the sound of the digital transition. Is It In remains the ultimate soundtrack for the voice of the machine on the move. Does Is It In capture the perfect 80s vibe? Let us know in the comments. At number 4, we are exploring the 1981 masterpiece that turned a soul staple into a futuristic funk odyssey. Roger Troutman didn't just cover this track. He utilized the Talk Box to give the machine a crying, soulful vibrato that rivaled the greatest vocalists of his time. Roger's rendition of I Heard It Through the Grapevine stands as a landmark of technical brilliance. While the song reached number 1 on the R&B charts, its true achievement was emotional. Roger used his custom talkbox setup to mimic the nuances of the human voice, from gospel-inflected runs to gritty rhythmic stabs. This recording proved that technology wasn't just for cold robotic effects. In the right hands, it could convey deep heartbreak and raw funk. Produced by Roger himself, the track's nearly 11-minute album version showcased how the talkbox could lead a full arrangement, bridging the gap between old-school soul and the high-tech future of the 80s. This performance solidified Roger Troutman as the undisputed master of the instrument, influencing generations of talkbox players and hip-hop producers who sought that signature, singing electronic tone. Roger Troutman didn't just play the machine, he made it breathe. I Heard It Through the Grapevine remains the ultimate testament to his soulful innovation. At number 3, we are entering the laboratory of George Clinton. In 1982, the P-Funk mastermind utilized the vocoder to create a sonic landscape that felt both primitive and futuristic. Birthing an anthem that would eventually become the most sampled track in West Coast hip-hop history. Atomic Dog stands as a triumph of studio improvisation. While the song reached #1 on the R&B charts, its true genius lay in its layered vocal production. Clinton and his team utilized a vocoder to process the dog-like panting and deep rhythmic growls that ground the track. This wasn't just a vocal effect. It was a rhythmic instrument that defined the song's erratic, infectious pocket. This recording showcased how the machine could be used to amplify the P-Funk philosophy of total creative freedom, merging synthesized textures with raw, gritty energy. It proved that the vocoder wasn't limited to robotic pop. It could be used to create a funky, organic atmosphere that felt alive. The track's heavy synth bass and vocoded elements provided the foundational DNA for the G-Funk movement of the 1990s. George Clinton didn't just record a hit. He released a cultural phenomenon. Atomic Dog remains the ultimate proof that the machine can truly unleash its wild side. At #2, we are traveling to 1981, where Earth, Wind, and Fire proved they could dominate the new decade. By opening with one of the most famous vocoder lines in history, Maurice White and his team signaled that the pioneers of 70s soul were now the architects of the 80s electronic sound. Let's Groove stands as a masterclass in blending organic soul with synthetic precision. While the track reached #1 on the R&B charts and earned a Grammy nomination for Best R&B Vocal Performance, its technical legacy lies in that opening vocoded melody. It was sleek, perfectly pitched, and served as a bridge between the group's classic brass-heavy arrangements and the emerging synth-pop landscape. This recording showcased how the vocoder could be used with elegance and sophistication, turning a mechanical effect into a polished, melodic hook that felt both futuristic and timeless. It proved that the voice of the machine didn't have to be cold. It could be warm, inviting, and designed for global celebration. Earth, Wind, and Fire didn't just record a hit, they successfully redefined their legendary sound for a new era. Let's Groove remains the ultimate example of how to make the machine shimmer with soul. At #1, we are going back to 1980 to witness the record that redefined the physical limits of funk. Roger Troutman didn't just use the Talk Box on this track. He used it to construct a rhythmic blueprint that would eventually become the DNA of West Coast hip-hop. More Bounce to the Ounce stands as the undisputed champion of the Talk Box era. While it reached #2 on the R&B charts, its cultural impact is immeasurable. Produced alongside Bootsy Collins, the track utilized the machine to create a heavy percussive vocal line that felt like it was carved out of granite. This wasn't just a melody, it was a rhythmic foundation. Roger's ability to manipulate the tube to create that signature bouncing effect showcased a level of technical mastery that had never been heard before. This This recording proved that the machine could lead an entire movement, influencing everyone from Dr. Dre to Snoop Dogg. By blending the soul of the blues with the precision of the digital age, Zapp created a pocket so deep that music was never the same again. Zapp didn't just record a hit, they unleashed a force of nature. More bounce to the ounce remains the definitive moment the voice of the machine took the throne. Is there any track funkier than More Bounce? Let us know in the comments.